This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. I love getting together with people here because you learn so much, and everybody's got something different going on, different occupations, different situations. Today, somebody who is a professional storyteller and also an author. I've never met one. She's, I'm going to say, obsessed with history. I love it. It's fantastic. We're going to look at some of her works today, particularly diving into one book for Carolyn Stearns, who joins us on the program today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Well, I'm just going to, before we even dig in here, you're in Connecticut. You have a busy weekend coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, tomorrow is the Connecticut Storytelling Festival. It's based at the Thames Club in downtown New London, Connecticut. So it's right on the train tracks there. You can just walk up the hill. And there are professional storytellers coming in to share stories and workshops and performances all the time. It's just a terrific day of shared story events. I'm performing in a morning mixed performance of different performers, and then teaching a workshop on historical family stories in the afternoon.
So the performance that you're part of, what will that be? And have you discussed it with the others, or is it going to be more of an improv kind of thing?
So no, I am telling a World War I historical family story because it might be the seed someone in the audience needs. My dad, my grandpa was in the war. Maybe I could learn about them and their story. So it might bring people to my workshop. It certainly will be an entertaining and interesting story from history of our family. It's actually my husband's grandmother told me about this day, and so I've worked up the story from her sharing it with me. And it was her brother who was in the war. And so I think that it will give people an idea of what I do with history and how we get to know people through their stories, not through names and dates.
So you'll be telling a story about World War One. What others, what the others, will it be centered around that, or they'll just,
Yeah,
it's all
they
random?
can be doing whatever their specialty is. So you
Okay.
might get a folk tale, a fairy tale, a personal slam style story, you know, whatever is their thing. It's an open to the artist to bring their work to.
This is so amazing in that it's like we're back to golden times, where people told stories. They didn't have devices. They didn't even, have radio. This is, or maybe it was just emerging. But even before that, 1800s when people got together, 1700s, and this was their entertainment. This was their information. This was their history.
It was news. It was education. Many of the folk and fairy tales were there to teach children what not to do.
Hmm.
They have those moral lessons in them about being greedy, or you can think back to your childhood and hearing those stories and going,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be that way.
Wow. As I look at this, you watch the evening news. Many of us don't anymore, or we don't want to, but it was a thing. It was a thing, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and on. The newscaster is telling a story. Never thought of it that way. Like, this is, back in the day, way back in the day, the storyteller told stories. And like we say, it could be news accounts of something recently happening that people need to be aware of or be informed about. It's kind of, when you watch TV, it's somebody telling a story, a news
Right.
event. We like to think that it's an impartial telling of the story. All different, that's a different territory. But then again, within storytelling, it's through your eyes. Your story about World War I, another family member may see that story differently, right?
That's right. That's right. And our if it's a story that we personally experienced, the person next to us experienced the same event differently because it hit them where their sensitivities were to it.
Hmm.
So where I might have taken the heart part of the story, they may have taken the aggression or the war event or the bravery, because that's where they were connecting.
Yep.
So a whole audience all takes a story from where they sit and who they are.
Fascinating. And by the way, you mentioned New London. Love that town. That whole area. It's just wonderful on the water and yeah, it's charming. That's the best
It is.
the word that comes to my mind. So that's tomorrow, but today we're gonna focus on one of the books that you have written, and you write a lot of books for a younger audience as well. And this one is called Mystic Girl. This one focuses on middle-aged students, high school too.
Um, the horse lover high school girls will read it because they'll read anything with a horse in it.
Okay.
Uh, and that's a good thing. A lot of adult horse people love this book as well. Fans of the Vikings times and the Norse mythology will enjoy this book. So there is that adult piece to it, but I wrote it so that fourth grade and up can read it. A good, readers at that level are all in their own place and time. So a good reader can get through this. I made kid-friendly phonetics of some of the Viking names, because if they haven't really learned all the meanings of the accents and so forth, I wanted to spell it out with syllables so they feel comfortable saying the horse's name is Svadilfari.
Wow.
They love double consonants in that language.
So is this a book that centers on a girl from present day, but also has connections to a Nordic past?
That's right. It takes place in present day Mystic, Connecticut, and that
I was going to bring that up. When I saw the
yes.
name Mystic, I was thinking, I wonder if it's Mystic, Connecticut. Okay.
So my writers group used to meet in the Mystic Noank Library, which is go there sometime if you're up that way. It's a fabulous library built with the wealth of the seafaring captains.
Hmm.
And it's been modernized with a modern wing, but the old part I would sit there and write before my group met because I just loved it. And that library is very much a place this child visits often in the book, because I just loved it so much.
Well,
And
I'm not even sure where that library is, but when I think the last time I was in Mystic was probably 4 years ago, and then before that and before that, that's another charming town. That bridge in the
yeah,
center of town, I could walk over it and come back. It's not like a wood bridge. But there's something about it, like, and everything is kind of centrally located in the town. It's just a nice vibe. It's a nice
you
vibe.
can walk to the library from the bridge. It's up the hill.
Ah, okay.
So,
Hmm.
yes, she lives in this lovely seaside village with her mom, upstairs over a fish and chips shop, which is fictional, but people have gone looking for it. And I've heard about it. And then she gets to ride Morgan horses at her mom's friend's farm. But Odin and Thor and Loki come looking for her because their world is fading because no one tells the stories anymore.
Hmm.
And they had a prophecy that it was a child that would help them bring back their world. And so Odin and his mighty powers can open the clouds and view Mystic, and the hammer, Thor's hammer Mjolnir that I'm wearing today is, can send some power her direction if she needs help. And Loki, the trickster, is sneaking through the library stacks and doing things to make sure she gets connected. And so I've taken all those characters, and that part was inspired by a fight between two children at after school program. And the little boy, when I broke it up, said, "Girls can't play Marvel, Odin, and Thor." And I said, "Oh, wait a minute." And I said, "Let me fix that for you." And I gave him the 411 on girls knowing about Norse mythology. And there's a lot more to it than those movies. And then girls could play it after school. And in this book, yes, indeed, the girl saves the day.
Now, why the connection to the Norse side of things?
Well, that's my storytelling side. So the other book we discussed last week, How Far Is Safe, was totally from my heart and my love of donkeys and their need for understanding and rescue. This one is totally the blend of my writing world and my storytelling world because I was already telling some of the Norse mythology. And it just blended so nicely to introduce storytelling and the power of storytelling through a narrative in a book. Um, so it's
Wow.
definitely a cross section of my world.
It truly that time period truly is a passion for you, is it?
Yeah, anything in history. Just drawn to it like a magnet.
Why do you think that is?
I grew up immersed in history, revolutionary period history, and the house that I grew up in was built in 1751. My parents were researching the man who built it, a captain in the Revolution. We did a lot of museums as a child, so it was always there. The Nathan Hale homestead was in my hometown,
Oh,
where
wow.
Captain Nathan Hale was a spy for George Washington and was captured and hung and thrown in the river in New York. And so I knew all about the Hale family and started working in that museum at age 14.
Wow. So the let's look at the spy thing for just a moment. We're across the water, so to speak. I'm New York, Long Island. You're Connecticut. There's a whole spy trail on Long Island. I don't know if you're aware.
I've heard about it. I haven't been down to visit it, and I really need to.
Yeah, it's kind of a big thing, and the number of people have written books, and even recently, um, and some of the trail, if you will, is actually marked with signs, like really nice signs that explain, what's going on. Um, what gravitates you to that? Is it just you grew up with it and it's a part of you?
I think so. I mean, I was so young when we moved into that house, and it was, we moved from a little 1950s Cape Cod on a cul-de-sac into a 1751 colonial farmhouse with a three-season bathroom and no central heating. And there was the owners that sold out of their dairy business and retired, left a calf for us to raise for beef. We got chickens, and all of a sudden my life was just like turned upside down from
Wow.
just being in that street with all the kids that lived in a new housing complex to this totally different lifestyle. And it was totally right for me.
There's something magnetic and endearing about that because as you're talking, memories are coming back for me as a kid where my aunt and my grandmother lived in the same house. It was in Port Jefferson, just right up the street from the water, where they built ships. P.T. Barnum, circus man, had a place there. And that house was from I want to say the early 1800s. And even as a kid, I would go into the basement. There was spider webs, and it was, took a little bit of courage as a kid to go down there. But even just to look around, just how it was built, there was a player piano in the basement.
Oh, cool. I've
mess
always wanted one.
mess around with that every once in a while. But it was almost like you were like when somebody goes scuba diving, it's a whole new world when you jump into the water with your mask on. This was when I would walk into the basement, it was all like a whole immerse into something totally different and just a different feel and vibe. And I would even just walk around the yard and just look at the rocks and just, have memories of like, I wonder when they put that wall up with that little piece of cement and literally use rocks to make a retaining wall. But there's just something that I get what you're saying now that I'm thinking about this and we're talking about it. And you know what? I could probably tell a story if I
Yes,
thought
you
about it.
can.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stories with that house, even just as a kid watching the Fourth of July parade from um, the porch. Had one of these big porches, a Victorian style house. Yeah, just charming. There's just something there. I love it too. I would rather watch period piece movies than more modern stuff. I get bored. I don't know why.
Yeah, there certainly always an outlier in that, but yeah, if there's something historical on, that's where I'm going to gravitate to.
So Mystic Girl, that book, tell us about the writing process. How long did it take? Did you flesh it out along the way? Did you make an outline of the characters? How did it work?
Totally a pantser. I write by the seat of my pants. I didn't know I was gonna. So I have a friend who was a children's librarian, and she had read How Far Is Safe and loved it. And she said, "Well, this your book has a little boy in it. Now you need to write one for girls." So the seed was write a book with a girl lead in it, and so I sat down to do that. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a horse book. That's a no-brainer. I've had a horse since I was 9. I still clean stalls every day. So, and then all of a sudden there was Odin and Thor and Loki, because apparently they were reaching out to me to get this done. And it fell into place, and I was working on it at that library monthly. But I did most of the writing in one fell swoop one November.
In a period of how much time?
The month, as a
Wow.
NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month. And you have to write 50,000 words in the month. And it's a personal challenge. And they have the little online stickers and, things to help you keep going. And so it was a motivational thing. But when you divide it out, it's no worse than writing a college paper every day.
Wow. Okay.
So I banked time. On the weekends, I'd write more in case a work day was, too long, and then I didn't get to write, and I burned the candle at both ends because, it's only 30 days. But
Well,
I had,
it puts the challenge in front of you.
right,
There are
right,
no excuses. You can't say,
right. Just get it done.
get it done. But what about, the classic writer's block? You confront that where he's just like, nothing's flowing.
I kind of think writer's block is a luxury. Um, yeah, if you want to write to help support yourself and do this on your own, you don't have the luxury of sitting there and not writing.
Mm.
I might pick a different chapter to work on or add a new element that'll make it more interesting. I don't care how tired I am. If I go back and read what I wrote the day before, then I just continue telling the story. And
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm not a writer, but I'm analyzing this. It's how my mind works. And if I were writing a novel back in the day, I would plan it out. The outline, the characters, loose situations and such. I'm in a different mindset in my life now where I try to live more in the moment. So it would be by the seat of my pants. And it would almost be as if you are confronting it like the character in the book.
mm-hmm.
You don't know what's going to be. You're on that horse and you pull the reins and you make that turn. What's going to be there? You'll find out as you write.
Yeah. And some nights I would stay up really late because I was writing, I really got into it. And I'm like, I can't stop. I can't leave my character in this position. I have to resolve. I'm not going to go to sleep. Other times I would be thinking about it, like, how am I going to resolve it? And would wake up in the morning with the solution because our brain does all its processing at night and reshuffling of the files to tidy them up. And there's my answer. You just have to learn to listen for it and let it come out.
So some say that before you go to bed, you should ask for an answer. Set the intention, and that could be anything. What should I, how should I handle a situation? Give me the answer, and then that's why they say got to sleep on it. I could see the same thing with the book. I've got this situation. Where is she going to go next? What is going to happen next? Go to sleep, wake up in the morning, bing, oh, wait a minute. Have you had those epiphanies when you woke up?
Definitely, definitely. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night. So there's paper and pen near the bed. So I can chicken scratch in the night. I get to play deciphering in the
Mm,
morning. I won't turn the light on and, fully wake, but I'll write big letters,
Sure. As much as many of us will say, I'll remember it in the morning, personal experience, it could be the most vivid message dream in the middle of the night. Ah, yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll remember that in the morning. You go to the bathroom, you go back to sleep. No, I never remember. Very rare. Very rare. I don't know why. You got to write it down.
Yep. The mind shuts the file drawer
Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
can't see in there anymore.
It's true. And then it drives you crazy. Like, oh, wait a minute. What was that? Or even if it's a dream, like, what was the pieces of that? I know it was good. And maybe there was some insight. I just can't recall it. It's not
Yeah.
coming back. Hmm.
It's really good if you just even a symbol to help you stir that memory back up. Or the color you were seeing, like purple and then a heart. And oh, that soldier, I was dreaming about him and his Purple Heart Award. And it'll come back to you.
I'm always intrigued about people who sing and are able to remember lyrics. I can't. I'm just, I play music on the radio every day. I've done it for many, many decades. I know every single song. I could tell you the length of the intro, how long it is, when it was number one, all of that. I just can't remember lyrics. Little pieces I've got, I can't do karaoke unless there's a screen. Are you, when in your recall with your memory, I have to believe, like a singer, like lyrics, you can retain things. You remember facts and figures, situations to weave it into the story. Would you say that's true?
Yes and no. I can't do lyrics either.
I don't know why. I don't know what it
A
is.
story, especially when I tell it, I don't have to tell it the same way twice.
I think you've nailed it. It's
Yep.
the free form. It's the free form because when it's lyrics, it's got to be exact.
It's got to rhyme. It's got to fit the meter. You just can't wing it. And everybody knows the lyrics.
Everybody's going to know. When it's the story, there could be a variation. Maybe the premise is the same, the years are the same, but there's some latitude in terms of what's happening at that moment. That's what it is. And to your point, as I think back, I've been years ago, people said, hey, you should be like a wedding DJ, like an MC at a wedding. And I said, no, because I don't like, it's not my thing for formatics. Where I stand there, I got to introduce a couple coming in after that. Then it's the, father, daughter dance. And we got to do that instead of in this order. No, I just want to do my own thing. And it sounds the same, in terms of what you do. But it's actually, it seems like there's this freedom in that.
There is. And I do use a little music. But again, I go toward older music. And
why not?
I have to really work it to have the lyrics to that. And they're usually ballads that have a really consistent storyline.
And even classical music, there are times where I'll put it on and I just go into a zone. Maybe I'm doing some work. It just kind of sits in the back. I'll listen to anything. I love all types of music. Always fascinating talking with you. How do we find out about you, your craft, your books, and all of that? What's your website?
Carolyn Stearns Storyteller is my website.
Gotcha. Well, Carolyn from Connecticut.
Yes. And I was thinking of the story center, not me.
Gotcha. You are the center of the story. Good luck tomorrow with everything going on. And great talking with you. Looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you. Thank you much. Have a great weekend.
You too. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.